Crouse.
When I think of Queen Victoria, I always think of the famous photograph where she's all dressed in black, and it's very, and I think of her as being very uptight. I think of her as in mourning all the time. Why don't we know more about what I guess is the real Victoria?
I think that was the very reason why Sarah Ferguson came to Graham with the idea. She just said, this is an extraordinary story, and it's, you know, and Julian Fellows spoke about it, you know, and no one knows about the passion and the love. Everyone knows about the sour-faced lady wearing a hanky on her head and looking like she's wants to, you know, top herself. And I think that it was really important to show that vibrancy that she had when she was younger. She was really the polar opposite, and so when Albert died, after them having the most passionate marriage, a little piece of her, I think a lot of her died with him, actually, and that's why she mourned him so ferociously for the rest of her life.
Well, it really struck me that it wasn't just that it was a romance, which it was. It was one of sort of maybe the great romances in public life anyway. But also they were really partners as well, and I guess business partners, you would call them.
Effectively,
Yeah, tell me a little bit about what sort of research you would have had to do, just sort of because, again, this is something that I didn't know about. I mean, I didn't know that he had sort of essentially created like the sewer systems in London and was an engineer and really, you know, changed people's lives. In
he
ways
did. He was the one. I mean, Albert was the one who effectively created Victoriana. I mean, he was the one who had been educated in social reform and architecture and all kinds of things. So I think he was very much Victoria's greatest achievement, because I think without him it would have been a very different reign that she had, and I'm sure she would have made some more emotionally reckless decisions without him to come in with that educated, number-crunching mind to kind of counteract her feistiness and instinctual emotion. And I think together they really neutraled each other out. And they were, to speak in a very modern way, crazy about each other.
Right. Well, it's interesting to see you turn from, you know, a 17, 18-year-old girl in the movie. We follow you till you're about 20 or 21 probably in the film, do you think? Or,
No, a bit older. I think it kind of cuts at the end to probably when she's about 25, when the baby and, you know.
Right, and we see the leaving the clothes out and things in the little tubs of hot water and things. Yeah. But to see, one of the things that I was grabbed by this film was that it's a period piece that has a very modern sensibility, and what we're seeing here is a young woman really coming into her own, and that's kind of, you know, beyond the history and beyond the love story. That was the story for me, is to see this woman who is really coming into herself and make some bad decisions.
But she's a teenager, which people forget. And
I guess what I was going to say is that you know, at 18 years old, you think you know everything.
Yeah, you do.
And she learns in kind of a difficult way.
No, there's a kind of cavalier attitude that teenagers have, and a casual attitude towards saying the wrong thing or doing the wrong thing. And I honestly don't think, because she grew up in a very oppressive, lonely way, away from the court and the social graces and etiquette, she had no idea actually that she was doing or saying the wrong thing. There was an irreverence that she had towards it, because she, you know, had led this very strange and sad childhood, so she was very much trying to assert her power. As soon as she came to that age, after that steely patience she'd had to endure for, you know, years with the mother and walking down the stairs holding the hand, I mean, it's unimaginably lonely actually. She wasn't allowed any friends, she couldn't read books, so she'd lived with the extreme of that ominous cloud, and then to be allowed only to go to the opera or the ballet. So she lived in extremes with that, and then she got to see beauty in all its wonder, and, you know, and her imagination would run wild. And so I think that's why she very much also wanted to marry for love, and not because someone told her to, partly out of a kind of teenage rebellious quality that she was like, I'm not going to tell you, I'm not going to do what you want me to do. But I think that she was a forward thinker, she was a modern thinker for that time. She wasn't willing to conform to any constraints that people were telling her to.
Well, now I've read that you went to them and said, "I want to be in this."
No, they'd sent the script and I read it, but I definitely made a real play for the part because I knew it would be one of those parts that people were going to hound, because it was so rare and it was so well written, great gravitas. It was really it's hard to find that a film that's shouldered by a woman and a girl like that who was so remarkable and complex, and with that amount of responsibility. And so I did go in and meet them, and I just said I just love it, and I'm very aware that a lot of other people do as well, but I'd like you to give me a chance.
Richard Crouse.